With the NHL trade deadline just over a month away, teams are now evaluating and gearing up for potential moves. For the most part, in this video, we'll be talking about teams that are contenders that are looking for that key piece to get them over the hump in order to make a deep playoff run. And with that, here are 4 NHL players that could be moved before the deadline and where they may end up. As the Pittsburgh Penguins approach the trade deadline, it's going to be interesting to see how it's handled by Ron Hextall and company. Outside of Brian Rust, one name that's been in the rumor mill as of late is Kasperi Kapanen. After having a solid debut campaign for Pittsburgh with 30 points and 40 games played, with 11 of those being goals, Kapanen hasn't been as productive so far this season. The forward, unfortunately, has not only fallen out of favor with fans, but also at times with his head coach. During the Penguins' last game against the Kings, for instance, in late January, Kapanen was playing on the 4th line and only saw around 8 minutes of ice time. Therefore, with 0 points in his last 5 games played, and a contract that's set to expire this offseason, Kapanen's name is most likely on the mind of GM Ron Hextall's at this point in time. While contending teams such as Colorado and Calgary would certainly like to add to their offense, one team that I'd consider a solid dark horse to potentially acquire him is the Vancouver Canucks. While the Canucks will definitely be trying to gain more cap flexibility with moving a player with a significant cap hit, it's highly possible that Jim Rutherford won't be opposed to adding to his top 6 if he can. During his time in Pittsburgh, Rutherford exhibited quite the fondness for the Finnish forward. Not only did Rutherford draft Kapanen, but he also traded him to Toronto for Phil Kessel to only trade for him later on again. Despite his recent struggles, even still, it wouldn't be surprising to see JR yet again attempt to land number 42. Since Ken Holland made the puzzling decision to stick with the Mike Smith-Mikko Koskinen tandem coming into the season, the running theme in Edmonton for the deadline has been goaltending. And according to various sources, including Elliot Friedman, Holland is at least self-aware about the weakness as he's inquired about several netminders so far this season. Among the slew of tendies that Holland has looked into as a potential solution, among them the most intriguing is Ville Hossos. Husso, who recently emerged as a capable starter for the Blues, has threatened the position of Stanley Cup champion Jordan Binnington's in the crease. Currently leading the league in save percentage at .941 and goals against average at 1.84, Husso is definitely the best option. But even if the Blues are willing to give up their goalie, they're going to be logically asking for a steep return, likely involving a first-round pick. But unfortunately, Ken Holland has already said that he won't be trading his first-round pick and is hesitant to even deal a second, according to Friedman. Due to their constant cap crunch, however, this would be the best overall solution for Edmonton, considering Husso's cap hit is a doable $750,000. Following the hiring of Marty St. Louis, Kent Hughes, and Jeff Gordon, the Montreal Canadiens have shown that they're moving in a new direction. With the season unfortunately botched for the club, it's pretty much a known fact that the Habs will be sellers this deadline. One player that would fetch a sizable return, especially since he has some considerable term left on his deal, is forward Tyler Toffoli. Known as a goal-scoring machine pretty much last season with 28 and only 52 games played, Toffoli was an important piece that propelled Montreal to the postseason. Even though he has struggled along with the entire Habs roster this season so far, contending teams that are looking for help tickling the twine are likely going to overlook the short-term slump for Toffoli. Some teams that have been in the mix rumored to be interested in Toffoli are Los Angeles, Boston, and Calgary. And really, they all make a degree of sense. Obviously, Toffoli has a previous LA connection, won a cup with the team, and would likely be replacing Trevor Moore on the second line to play with former teammate Phillip Danault. Boston would be more based on need, not sentimentality, but it's rather questionable considering it's a rival team of Montreal's. And lastly, the team that makes the most sense is the Calgary Flames. Despite players such as Jacob Markstrom and Johnny Gaudreau having amazing campaigns so far, the Flames are still going to be fighting to keep their spots in the standings and make the postseason. Adding in Toffoli to the top 6, give Calgary a 1-2 punch per se and solidify that right side. Head coach Daryl Sutter would likely be in support of the move as well, as he was Toffoli's coach back in LA. The $4.25 million cap hit would be doable as well, and his contract isn't set to expire until 2024. Interestingly, Finally, I thought personally it was pretty intriguing that the Flames were interested in Tofolli, according to Pierre Lebrun back in January of 2020, before Sutter's return. I'll link the article below, of course. But at the time, the Flames wanted a player with more term. Well, now it's perfect timing if the club wants to swoop in and give Gordon and Hughes an offer they can't refuse. And lastly, I thought I'd circle back to one of, if not the hottest name in trade rumors for quite some time. Now, last time you mentioned the Flower, it was due to the fact that the Washington Capitals were apparently interested in the netminder's services. But since, Elliotte Friedman has confirmed what we all pretty much suspected, saying, quote, "I am not convinced that Fleury would be comfortable doing it. He's still very much a Penguin, and I think sometimes we underestimate how much passion there is in these rivalries," end quote. Taking that into account, and the current state of the Chicago Blackhawks in the standings, it's very possible that Fleury will still be dealt to a cup contending team that's in need of some help in nets. And similarly to Edmonton, like a broken record, the running theme has been goaltending for the Avs going into the deadline, and apparently also Claude Giroux. Anyways, considering his 10-team no-trade list, there's bound to be a team still that Fleury wouldn't mind going to. Recently, Chris Johnston from TSN reported that the Colorado Avalanche have been eyeing the 3-time Cup champ as a possible solution between the pipes. Currently, sporting a .908 save percentage and a 2.94 goals against average, Fleury appears to have the average numbers on the surface. But let's keep in mind that he hasn't gotten adequate defensive help up front for most of the season, and Chicago's place in the standings can support that. Fleury would be supporting Darcy Kemper, who has been decent for Colorado thus far. However, to make the idea reality, Joe Sakic is going to have to acquire the goaltender with 50% salary retained, considering his $7 million cap hit and their current cap predicament.